I'm Priyan Baskar from Northeastern University. This is going to be a 30-minute video about web development for my course CS5610. This video is mainly for people that are from CS background, so people that have a basic idea of what front end or back end means, people who may be well versed in functions or methods, but then have a little less knowledge on the website side, web application side. So this might be the video for yourself. So I'm gonna start with the basic overview of what web development is, sort of like an architecture of web development. So web development consists of three sides. Um, One is the client side, and the other one is the server side, and the other one will be the database. So client side, as the word says, it associates with the users. Let's say if I'm using a website, I'll be the client, and in client side there are all the front end scripts like HTML, CSS. HTML is for the front end website, CSS for the styling. Let's say if a page wants to like have a different sort of animations, we use CSS for that. HTML is like the basic structure of the page. And we also have JavaScript. Uh, JavaScript is where website requires operations or little tweakings that are like pleasant to human eye. We use JavaScript. It's also called ES6. We are using ES6 plus in this course, and there are lots of them. Bootstrap. In Mern we use React. So these are all the client side technologies that we use. Server side is the other side of client side. So server side is the back end of whatever web application you see online. So in this course we'll be mainly seeing about Node.js, which is a JavaScript based backend language, and also Express.js, which is a framework for Node.js. We use Express to connect to database, mainly Mongo NoSQL database. So that's what Express is used for. And as of database, we have lot, we have SQL, we have like mainly NoSQL and SQL databases. In SQL we have MySQL, PostgreSQL, and here in this course we'll mainly see about NoSQL. The most famous NoSQL is obviously MongoDB, and this is the main thing that you'll see in this course. Let me drag it here. Okay, so the client side and server side, it communicates through a process called HTTP request. So let's say the client wants to access something from server side, it gives a HTTP request to server side, and the server side does all the calculations. That's the logic we write in server side, and the server side replies back with a JSON response. So this is how client side and server side works. I'll just write it out here. HTTP request. There are a lot of HTTP requests like post, get. These are the two most commonly used requests. And for server side, back to the client side, there is JSON response. Usually, when server to client communication, we call it response, and client to server communication, we call it request. So similarly, from client to database, the communication is made through queries, SQL queries, as you all might know. And the DB fetches the relevant documents from as of the queries, and then it replies back with the required documents. So first of all, I'll just draw like an outline of what a web application looks like to all the users. Let's say this is where the header comes on top of the web page. Excuse my drawing, I'm just like drawing on my free hand with just a mouse and a keyboard. Let's say this is my heading, and down here comes the nav bar or navigation bar. We call this navigation bar because it has all the home. Let's say your web page is connected to two other web pages. Let's say we call it home. We call this page home. Let's say it directs to another page called page A. It sits here, and page B, it sits here, so that if you click here, it redirects to the respective web pages. So this is why it's called navigation bar. And let's say you have a main here, we can call this main, and inside main we have whatever we want. We call this articles. So in this main box there are like two articles. So let's say you propose something, a news or something. So this is where the news is. The article is where the news, the main news contains, and it is wrapped around the main box. And down here comes the footer. So footers where you just credit the website creator, or you thank someone you who helped you to create the website. So this is how the basic outline of a web page is. And with HTML you might be aware of many tags. So tag is something which is like this. So this is what a HTML tag looks like. So let's say h1 is a HTML tag. So there are 6 heading tags from h1 to h6. So h1 is the biggest text and h6 is the smallest. So h1 and h2 will be something smaller than h1, and h3 even more smaller, and it goes on like that until h6, which is like the smallest one. So h6 is gonna look something like this, even more smaller. So yeah, this is how it follows. There are also head, body, and other tags like that. So head basically means it contains metadata, title, links to other CSS pages, other pages. Body has everything, it pretty much sums up body. And there is also another tag, it's called P stands for paragraph. So whatever comes under head, or whatever the content that you write on a web page comes under P. And there are also other text like other tags like UL, which is the UL unordered list, and OL, which is the ordered list. I'll give an example, and I'll walk you through that example of what these tags actually stands for. So yeah, this is like some of the main important HTML tags. You'll eventually learn about all the tags. You get to learn them once you like start coding thoroughly. That's when you learn all this. You don't have to memorize everything, it just like comes on the flow. So I can just walk you through an example. Yeah, this is like a pre-coded example. I couldn't code because there's only like certain amount of time left. So this is my HTML page. This was a code snippet from my recent project. So yeah, this is my main tag. So the whole thing comes under my main tag. So h1, so this will be the largest text, largest heading, and it's called close call because that's what my project is named after. P is the paragraph, so it says tracking near asteroids. I can actually run this and show you how it looks like. So yeah, this is how it's going to look like. So li is list item, it comes under unordered list. So unordered, there are bullet points here because of the unordered. Let's say if I make them ordered, then it's going to look something like this. Yeah, it is numbered when it's ordered. And then there's a button tag also. So this is the button. This is how it looks like with the CSS style. I'll show you a minute what it looks like without the CSS tag. So back to here. Now that HTML is done. Oh, actually, another thing. This is how it looks to human eyes, the code, but then the computer processes it in a different way. It's called DOM. That's how the computer processes it. DOM. It stands for document object model. So this is like a very important thing in front-end engineering. So this is how a browser views it, like a in-memory representation of the HTML page. It like builds as a tree of object, and it connects your front-end to JavaScript, so that JavaScript could access, and it can know like how structured the page is. So I can yeah, I can draw you an example. I mean, I can draw you a DOM with this example, H1P. So it's gonna look something like this. So there will be main. Inside main there H1, and inside H1 there is unordered list. And inside unordered list there are list items. I think there are a couple of list items in that example, so I'm gonna draw 2 here. Items. So it's gonna look something like this. It's gonna be very untidy. I'm so sorry for that. So yeah, this is how it's gonna look like. From H1 it unordered list comes, and from that 2 of the list items comes. So this is how it's gonna look like, the DOM. This is very important for JavaScript. It basically has an idea of what your front end looks like only through DOMs. And now the CSS part. So the website's going to be fine even without the CSS part. Let me remove this and save. The website's still going to be there, but then this one important thing that is missing right now, it's the styling of the button. Look how the button changes now after I save. Yeah, there you see. So yeah, this is how CSS works. You can like the button is the selector here. You can like select any of the aspects of HTML. There are buttons, and there are other elements, a lot of them actually. So here in this button is customized in such a way that the background is royal blue color. This is the text inside the button. That's white, and padding is the distance between the outer box and the text, and border radius, it's pretty much sums up. This is how the CSS affects the homepage. It gives a little a touch to the website that's very basic. There are lots of very cool CSS styles that includes on hover. If I just like hover something on an element in the web page, it's gonna pop, or you can customize it however you want it to. So that's that. Usually instead of just button, let's say .btn, that actually yeah, that comes takes in order every elements in that class. Let's say button is a class, it's going to change every button in that class. So that's how it works, and there are other things too. Right now let this stay as button. And now comes the JavaScript. JavaScript doesn't actually visually make any changes to the website, but then it does a lot actually behind the web page. So this is the JavaScript code that I've chosen today. So this is like pretty straightforward. Constant name, let's say I name it asteroid 1, name another thing, a name and hazardous, and I write a function here called greet, and then this greet returns tracking followed by name and constant button. So the query selector searches for button from the actual code, the HTML code. So wherever button is, the query selector automatically goes there. And this button, add event listener, is also another JavaScript aspect. So wherein if I click that, the console is going to call this function greet neo. So let's say I click this. Before that, let me open the console, because JavaScript always prints on the console. Okay, according this to this logic, if I'm gonna click refresh or any button, in this case there's only one button, so button, it prints tracking asteroid as per the function. So this is how JavaScript works. I think it's pretty cool. You can accomplish a lot of work using JavaScript. We'll be talking about closures, which is one of the most interesting topics in JavaScript, and one of my favorites too. So in other languages other than JavaScript, you cannot access variable outside of a function inside that function. So let's say we declare something here and you can't access this inside it because the scope is not inside this function. But JavaScript, you can override this through closures, and you can actually use this inside the function. A variable is external to the variable that is external to the function is available inside the function. So basically, let's say this is one scope, and this is the entire scope of this set of code. And so basically what closure means is every scope has access to the outside scope. So the content inside this has access to the outside scope. So if I run this, I get my name printed here. You can't do this in other programming languages because of the scope. And let's say you want to change, I'll change this so that I can change my name. I type in another name, say Priyan 2, and if I run this, now you can see the updated name. It's not just taking the name that is defined when the function is defined. It's actually taking the current value of that name. So this is one of the examples. I'll just comment this out, and then I'll uncomment this. So in this example, this is like also pretty much the same thing, but then we have like nested loops in here. So this is the global scope, and this outer function has scope inside. So B comes inside the global scope, and then the C even more inside the inner function. So inner function returns A, B, and C. It reaches up through every level above it. So it sees C, which is its own scope, and the B, the previous scope, and A, the global scope. So you know what it's going to print. It's obviously going to print 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6. It is returning inner, and just want to prove it has the scope of the previous scope. It has the value of the previous scope. If I, let's say, change this to inner, by the way, inner is like the inside scope, outer's the same scope as this console.log. It's going to throw an error because it's not of the same scope or the outside scope. So hope you could have got a clear idea on this. Yeah, now it's going to print 6. Yes. And this is not the main reason they use closures. One of the main reason is when a function returns another function, like in this case here, this function create counters returns another function. So this is like one of the main applications of closures. I'll walk you through the code line by line. So first we declare a variable called count, and it's let so it can changed in the future use. this is returning another function. This function is pretty much doing nothing. It's just like bumping up count to 1 and returning it. uh, Count still belongs to the outer function. It's here. Next, we run create counter once. This is the create counter that we are running, and we are storing it in counter variable. At this point, create counter has already finished running. So if we are running this in a normal programming language, count should be gone, because it's like outside of the scope. But if I were to print count here, it's still gonna print 1 or 2 or 3 or how many ever you want times you want to print. It's gonna keep on increasing the count and print the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's another interesting thing to share about closure with you. So let's say I initialize I with var with 0, I less than, let's say 3, plus plus. I set timeout and I print this I. And then I set the timeout for like 1 second. This is log, and now you'd expect 0, 1, 2. I'll just run this and show. I'll comment this. But the output is 3, 3, 3, and this is because with var this being used, there's only one I for the whole loop, and all 3 set timeout callbacks closed over the same I. By the time the timers fire a second later, the loop has long finished and I is 3. So we see 3 here. One thing is, if I use let instead of var and I run this, now you see 0, 1, 2. Before jumping into the coding session, I thought we can do something fun and interactive. I'm saying interactive because I want this to lead to a lot of discussions in the comments. I'm hoping you guys could do that. This is like a basic tier list where I get to place fundamentals of web development into my own tier. This is my own tier list. This is like based on my interest. I'll just do this. I'm open for any discussion down in the comments. So let me start. React, I'd say B. Bootstrap, I'm not a big fan, so I'll put it on C. NPM packages, same, I'll put it on C as well. JavaScript is so good, I gotta keep it here. JSON, I think this is like one of the most underrated thing in web development. Open for all comments. HTML, CSS are like pretty standard. Same with Express also, I will put it in B. Mongo, there are like a lot of other DBs as well, so I'm putting it in C. DOM is also like a very useful thing that keeps JavaScript track of the website, so I'll put it in S tier. Node.js, maybe B. And finally HTTP requests, yeah, I think it goes here. It also acts as a bridge with the front end and the back end. So I think HTTP and JSON plays a very important role in web applications that nobody talks about. So this is my list. I'm looking forward to yours in the comments. You might know all the nuances in web development. I'll end this video with a little coding session. I'll just like code a little JavaScript and explain you the flow that we were talking earlier about. This is the basic HTML website that I pre-coded because I don't want to waste time using coding this. So I'll straightly jump into the JavaScript part, the Node.js part of it. Before that, we have to install dependencies. Since we're using Express framework in this, we also have to install that. For that, we'll go ahead and open terminal. First, for Node.js dependencies, we'll put npm initialize init. The /y is to say yes for all dependencies. Once we've done that, we will go ahead and install npm install express for the express framework. As you can see, the npm initialize will generate package JSON. It's here. This has all the dependencies and everything. You can check out here. This is the version of the express.js that we're using, and the express will also install the node modules that are required for the project and package lock.json. I'll create a new file. I'll name it server.js, and I'll write the logic here. First, we'll import express, acquire express. This just imports express, and this calls express. This calls express, and the port we are using, we'll also have to initialize that. Port number is as you know, it's always 3000 for localhost, 3000. And now we just write the middleware. This is the important part in any JavaScript function. I've just had it copied, so I'll just paste it here. This is the request, the incoming request, who's asking for what URL, and this is the response you get back from the backend. And this is the next function, because you don't want to leave it blank, so it doesn't redirect anywhere. So once the middleware is over, we again app.use. This saves all the static files, like say the HTML CSS files in a folder called public. That's how I used to code. So our HTML file stays in here. Now comes the this is the data that we're going to import. This usually comes from an API when we're doing a project or anything like that. Now it's just asteroid 1. Now I'm just like giving dummy data, since this is a test. Missing kilometers, let's say 50,000, and this is a boolean value. Let's say I give false, and I copy the same just for another dummy data. Asteroid 2, 9,000 kilometers, and I say it's true. Now that we've fed the data, next point is the root. This is the get function that we write. So it goes API, the function name, and then request response, response comes in JSON format, so JSON of function name. That's it. Close it via semicolon, and at the end we just write the localhost URL with the port details and everything. Since we have already initiated the port details, we just console.log. It just prints stuff here. localhost, and then the port, desired port. Now that everything's done, I'll go ahead and run this, and we are redirected to this link. I'll open it in so yeah, if I click on load asteroids, there you go, asteroid 1, asteroid 2 as per our script. Now if you want to see the HTTP requests, if I click on asteroids, there you go, there's one request. It says 200 status and it's fetching. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.